So as long as there is a party, a believer, Ubuntu because of race or tribe, cannot be this, or it should be limited from becoming a certain thing, yet Zimbabwean, we should fight that with equal venom. ZANU PF, the MDC has now become ZANU PF using a false identity because their behavior is just the same. And
this is Multiracial Broadcasting Corporation. Inspired.
After 20 years of fighting ZANU PF, and these two parties have lost interest in the people. They are only obsessed with power. ZANU PF's obsession is with retention of power at all costs. They don't care if they have to loot the state, to kill opponents for them to remain in power. Yet MDC, on the other hand, is obsessed with power grab to the extent that they can even invite sanctions against the country. They can even fight against anything which seems to be progressive engaletwa government or ZANU PF, for as long as it doesn't benefit the MDC's push for power. So abantu bathi bona, they want a third way, a party that will not be obsessed with these other two, a party that will speak to the solutions to the Zimbabwean problems, a party that will work towards finding that solution, but also a party that is going to unite Zimbabwe, because it is there is no gain. I mean, there is no debate around the divisions that are there as Zimbabwe right now in terms of race.
If you could maybe just give us brief background of the formation of the TPF. What led to its formation?
TPF came out of AMA consultations. There was a research here in Zwayo, Lapa, South Africa. It was sort of AMA interviews that were done with certain people from all walks of life in Zimbabwe. And what came out, the outcome was that people are tired of the Zimbabwean situation as it is right now, but at the same time, they are not happy with ZANU PF, obviously, because of its misgovernance and its resistance to democratic reforms in the country. But at the same time, they have lost faith in the MDC as the alternative, because in terms of after 20 years of a tribe, so abantu bathi bona, no, we want a party that is going to unite Zimbabweans, because we are failing to find solutions to our problems, because we stand divided along race, along tribe, and along a number of other issues. So basebesithi bona bafuna a party that is going to unite all Zimbabweans. That's how Patriotic Front came to be, as a party which is multiracial, which is multi-tribal, and cuts across all epochs of our Zimbabwe. It has former Rhodesians, it has former war veterans, ex-liberation fighters, it has the current generation, it has the youth, it has all races that are represented in Zimbabwe.
Who is the current president now?
Our current president is a man called Alex Kusen, who is based in Zimbabwe.
Alex who?
Kusen.
This is Multiracial Broadcasting Corporation. Inspired.
Hussein.
Yes.
I've never heard of him.
He's been in politics for quite some time because of certain issues right now. Because he still has to deal with his health issues, but he's okay now. You will be seeing a lot of him very soon.
You have spoken of multi-racialism.
Yes.
And I feel that is something that is very important in this party. Yes. Did I read that correctly?
Yes. It's very, very important.
Yeah, maybe if you can go deeper into that.
We look back to the liberation struggle, and because we are people who are driven by the ideals of abantu abanjengoba Joshua Nkomo, I'll quote him. There is an interview which he did with one of the radio stations during the liberation struggle, a city, and the idea is not to bring down the white man, but to raise the black man to the same level with the white man. So he was clear ukuthi impi was about creating a multiracial society of equality. He didn't want to get rid of a certain race, but they wanted to get rid of a certain system which was benefiting one race over another. So we walked that road. And then in 1996, in an interview with the Financial Gazette, he said Zimbabwe belongs to both of them, whites and blacks. Utongo Karafutlae always spoke about the creation of a multiracial society in which, I think drawn from Idrimga Martin Luther King, he said he's fighting for a Zimbabwe where black kids and white kids will be able to go to school together, play together, even on the streets. So this tells us that these were some of the ideals of the liberation struggle, which the current government has reneged from, or the current ruling party has reneged from. We have seen a people being dispossessed of their properties because they belong in a certain race. We have seen the sharing of national resources being done in a manner that benefits just one race. And if we are to bring it down again, just one particular tribe. And we say as Zimbabweans, uNkulunkulu, if God had not wanted us to live together, he would not have made us meet in the first place. We met, yes, in strange circumstances, in circumstances that we don't wish could be repeated. Like you will know about colonialism, you will know about the dispossession of blacks based on race. We went to war because we wanted to address these issues. But after that, again, quoting Nkomo, at the burial of Ulukaut Masuku in 1986, he said there is a reverse racism in this country in the name of correcting imbalances of the past, which means even after independence, Nkomo still wanted a Zimbabwe where people would be judged according to their behavior, according to their deeds, but equitably sharing our national resources. So this is the Zimbabwe that we want to bring forth, because one of the main reasons why Zimbabwe is where it is because of a leadership vacuum that is there. We don't have the good leaders. That is principally because we have relegated the choice of leadership or narrowed it down to race. You can only be black for you to be Zimbabwean. And it cuts across all sectors, not even in politics. So you cannot be 100% Zimbabwean if you're not black. Then we narrow it down to say you cannot be Zimbabwean if you are not speaking Isishona. So Tina was saying, as a party, it doesn't matter what language, it doesn't matter what race you are. For as long as Zimbabwe is your home, you are Zimbabwean enough, you're 100% a son or daughter of the soil. Whether ngumKhalati, whether ngumJuta, you must have a voice, be it in discussion, the politics, be it about wanting to lead the country, even as the president, because you are Zimbabwean. Therefore, if you are capable of being a Zimbabwean leader, based on merit, be that leader that we want. It doesn't matter who to Ndebele, now capable of being the president, fight for it and be the president. So this is this kind of Zimbabwe that we want to create with TPF.
Yeah, I suspected that you will go this deeper because I've seen this issue of multiracialism. But taking into account that ZANU PF has been the dominant party in Zimbabwe since independence.
Yes.
And has poisoned people's thinking when it comes to race. The MDC, when it started, it had quite a number of white people within it.
Yes.
But it was portrayed, as a puppet of the West. So now I'm wondering whether the same issue is going to befall TPF.
I think one of the main reasons our struggle as Zimbabweans has not gone forward is because before we do something, we think about ZANU PF. ZANU PF is just one political party which will do everything and anything to remain in power.
Mhm.
So if we do things thinking about them, we're putting them above us, and we become reactionaries to what they will do. These questions, you'll remember that the first inaugural president of TPF was Daryl Collett.
Mhm.
Before we even settled on him, there were some even within the party who said, no, party, what will ZANU PF say? They will say we're puppets and what, and all this stuff. And I was one of the proponents of us looking beyond race, because this is what our politics speaks to. You'll remember, Futuguti, if you already know, with party yet when it was formed, it ran for 3 months without any executive. And people would ask, who is your president? Swatiyati, no. When I learn ideology party, who president is not bigger than you. Lawe kusasa, you can be the president if you merit that. We were creating an atmosphere where politics becomes bigger than the race or the names that are in there. People should not join a party because who looks sexy, who speaks this Ndebele Mnandi or this English Mnandi is there. They should join a party because they have swallowed and they've been sold to the ideology of the party. No. This is not what we signed up for. So the question of race was raised, and we said, Tina, we live what we speak. This is the scenario that is there. If we then play to the hands of those who are saying Utama whites cannot be Zimbabwean enough, we'll also at some point play to the hands of those who say that Ndebeles cannot be presidents. Because Tina, we believe there is no Zimbabwe for minorities and there is no Zimbabwe for majority. We are a majority based on our ideals and principles. We are a majority based on what we want for the country. Not because I am Ndebele and somebody is Shona, then we say, I'm a Shona Gawamelapa. They are not homogeneous in their ideologies. They are not homogeneous in their beliefs. Hence, we have Morgan Tswangi, Nelson Chamisa, Nomnanga, Kwabevela Ndawonye, Bengamakaranga, Bekabana. It's because ideologically, they are not the same. So Tina, no. Instead of conforming to the toxic politics which is there, would rather reform the politics into creating what we want as a party and what Zimbabweans have told us what they want.
Yeah, the issue of ethnicity in Zimbabwe has been a thorn issue. And I think the reason why Zimbabwe is stagnant or actually going down is because of the ethnic issue.
Yes.
And it seems your party is not shy to tackle this issue of ethnicity. Tell me a little bit about that.
There are things that we don't agree with those who are calling for secession, but the fact is, if you look at their grievances, they are genuine. Mm-hmm. Well, they may be harsh in some of the things that they say. They may be giving a wrong diagnosis of the problem and providing a wrong prescription for the solution. But one thing that we must agree with is Zimbabwe is divided, first racially, but because the other race has been silenced, we don't see that.
No, ETPF.
Yes.
Yona. Ihluke kanjani kwamanye ama-political parties in terms of ideology yayo, nama-programs yayo, nama-aims yayo. Ihluke kanjani?
ETPF, ideology yayo ibizwa Ubuntu social democracy. The reason why sifake igama elithi Ubuntu is because we are a party which is rooted in Africanism, in the spirit of Ubuntu. I'll give an example. Tina singabantu abamnyama. Sibe sithi lamanje I think kusasekhona ukuthi nxa unkala engumfowethu kumbe engumakhelwane. Ngile nkomo mina ezingu35 unkala engelamkhona. Sokune izulu. Unkala siyalimisana. abuye unkala azombambela ikhuba silime kwami maybe 3 days sibe sesiya konkala siyelima sijiye kimi and unkala ukuze unkala avale ubuyanga emphakathini yakhumbula ukuthi eMandebeleni besithi thina indoda nxa ingela nkomo kusuka kube nzima ukuthi ikhulume emhlanganweni. So unkala sesimbambela inkomo maybe zingu3 hayi inkala lawo esenga abantwana bedla uchago bangambi betshontsha uchago emzini kumbe bangagcini besiyahlala emzini. Unkala umquba lo la uzathatha ufake esibayeni emasimini ukuze uvunde. Nkala inkomo yami njengoba isizelwe igcine kahle hayi layo bamba nantu ithole. After 5 years unkala selezakhe inkomo mina sengithathe ezami ezikankala sezisala zikhona. So this is a spirit of sharing, of not allowing somebody to go hungry while you live on plenty. So this is what we are saying ukuthi thina sifuna a leadership which thinks for the people, a leadership which puts ama interests of everyone else. Okuhle kumele sishare the little that is there. Yibo ubuntu esikutshoyo thina ukuthi abantu must share the little that is there. And iTPF yona ithi a leader is a servant of the people. Sithethe iZimbabwe sathi thina iZimbabwe is a company, is corporate Zimbabwe, body corporate Zimbabwe. The people are the shareholders. They are the owners of body corporate Zimbabwe. Elected leaders are like directors who are employed by the shareholders with certain expectations. If those expectations are not met, our shareholders will have to ask for explanation from the directors. Kungatholakala ukuthi ama directors ayehluleka to fulfill those expectations, the shareholders can expel the directors and put new people. And akuqalele elizweni kuphela. Sesibonile amanye amaphathi esithi wona upresident othila kumele angaphume because kumele siqale singene embusweni. Thina we don't do that as TPF. Our first president wapsuke waphatheka emzimbeni samtshela ukuthi hayi ndoda njengoba uphathekile, these are expectations of the party which you cannot meet. Sibe sikucela ukuthi wehle esihlalweni, sifake omunye umuntu ozoqhubela phambili le gospel. Wavuma laye sanikeza abanye. Sebesuke abo acting president beTPF baba bathathu. Omunye wasuka waba lenkinga ephathini lapha befuna ukuthi yena kube lezinye izinto azenza zingaziwa ebandleni, kukanti umthetho webandla uthi kumele kwenziwe izinto collectively. Upresident weTPF omunye umehluko khona ukuthi upresident weTPF, we don't have an executive president. The NEC is bigger than the person who sits as the president. So the NEC can recall the president. That is before we go to Congress. But it's in our Congress, there is a body which is the National Council. It can recall the whole NEC. As long as that is done within the confines of the Constitution, the whole NEC can step down. This has happened already. Ama provinces, the reason why kubela mama changes ukuthi ama provinces set down what no. Iphatha siyibone kahle, right? You've set ama policies la yenza izinto eziningi, but sithanda ukuthi thina i-executive eningi ibe sekhaya. Lina ligcwele egoli. They sat down and ba recall the whole NEC. Akula muntu wabaxotshayo. Akula muntu othe recalliwe wabaleke party. Because we signed up to these things. That is another difference. And right now, the other difference is, like I said, there is no executive president. President angaphambanisa. President is somebody who is sent. President singathi hamba ukukhuluma into ethile. Afika khuluma kwakhe. Siyamhlalisa phansi si executive sithi ndoda. Into ekhulumileyo le ayisiyo esivumeleneyo as a party. It flies across the face of the ideology of TPF. How do we respond? Angaphala explanation right, then sesimthetha ayixolisa ke ebantwini bakho hamba wakhuluma khona. Axolise ebantwini, lathi sixolise as a party. So we are a party That is the first, the other difference. The other difference is, Tina, we are not a party which is here to lament. We're not a party which is here to be toxic. We are a party which is here to speak to solutions and to provide our solutions. So we are going to be a project-based party. Lapho sibona khona ukuthi okay, abantu beplant bahamba 30 kilometers besiyahlabisa abantwana ezibhedlela because the nearest hospital is 40 kilometers away, or abantwana balapha kulo mfula and awula bridge, abantwana nxa izulu lisina bayaqeda 2 weeks bengayi esikolo. We don't write press statements complaining about that. We will go to Plumtree, galvanize abantu balapho regardless of what political party they belong in. Even if there are some members at TPF, to say lapana kufuneka ibridge. Lina lilapha nxa umfula ugcwele. Inzondo yene ZANU PF ayenza abantwana bacross bayesikolo. Umntwana womuntu weZANU lo MDC lo CCC lo TPF abayi esikolo for 2 weeks bonke. So as Chinese dinner la lingumphakathi Chinese dinner, Tina sizobuya lesamende sibize lo engineer obuild abazavela kini la lingumphakathi siyakheni bridge lelia abantwana bacross. Then nase sikhuluma ukuthi hayi bekule problem enje uhulumende ubehlulekile kwenzela abantu laba, but Tina singumphakathi wasePlumtree we did it. So it can be done. So we want to challenge. We don't want to lament. We want to challenge practically, providing the solutions.
Okay. Ubuntu, social democrat,
Yes.
social democrats,
Yes.
is an ideology.
Yes.
Where does it come from?
Is social democracy is an ideology which is already there.
Mm-hmm.
Ubuntu is already is African setup versus peel. So Tina was saying ukuthi Western democracy iyafika ichayise somewhere singayizama Africa because of our cultural diversity. Most of the Western countries amanye angkhona vele you find ukuthi awalawo ama layers amaningi of diversity that we have. For starters, most are single race countries. Amanye they are even nation states. So Tina was saying ukuthi no. Asihlanganiseni that democracy efunakalayo with Ubuntu bethu. But now is social democracy, you remember ukuthi it speaks to the social economy whereby there is sharing of resources. You don't fight capitalism, which is there like our communist friends are doing. But we say in as much as capital is growing, it must also have kickbacks for the society in which it operates, which means ukukhula kwe-economy nxa sithi nasesile $1 billion economy eZimbabwe, the ordinary Zimbabwean must that benefit must be manifest in the ordinary Zimbabwean driving motor ukuthi hayi thina sibuya lapho okunenotho khona ekhanye drive. So we look at ama Nordic countries how they run their economy. So that is where we want also to run our own economy.
Okay.
Yes.
Next year,
Yes.
2023,
Yes.
we know there will be a national vote.
Yes.
Are you going to participate?
That decision is going to be dependent on 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
We put a product ahead of its time, which means we will only go to our elections not in a scat, go to because we have the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
The aim, the task that is there right now is for us to have ETPF cell in every part of the country. We want to be a mass movement. Etholakala noma kungaphi eZimbabwe. We haven't achieved that. Then okwesibili sifuna ukuthi thina mase siya kuma elections abantu sebebonile what we have for them. Ukuthi isithembiso or the promise that we are giving them is what we are living up to. Kumele kube sokulamanye ama projects that we have done in their areas and ukuvota kube kuyikuthi it's a seal of approval to the good work that we have done. Ultimately, no, we want now to give you our mandate because you have shown us what you are capable of. And then Sititina, leadership is not about, as a party, leadership is not about the next election. It's about the next generation. So we want to shape a future generation with or without power, in or out of the parliament. We start now to do things as is a change impilo yabantu, because we're all about changing impilo zabantu, and it includes changing the perceptions about politics as Zimbabwe. We need to go out to the people there, introduce this kind of politics that we have, because as Zimbabwe, but politically, I think we're among the worst, because we believe in the politics of cultism. We believe in the politics of tribalism. There is a party ideology. But because a certain person stood up, what in the sense of wami, Nankamakala Zami, Nazi slogan Sami, Nazi Gomez Nanti Kamelicha, Sessing people flock there. And now we don't care about ideology. So if you don't have an ideology, what do we use to judge you? Because revolution is based on theory first. Politics, the theory, then there is practical, which speaks or which is a manifestation of the theory. Okay, we believe in sharing. Here is what we have shared already, or this is what we are sharing. So elections next year will be dependent on whether we have managed to spread ETPF all over Zimbabwe, and the message has been well received with the people. But one thing I can assure you is, even if we don't contest in 2023, we will definitely contest in 2028. And by then, people will say TPF, and people will be living our promises at TPF already.
Okay, you have said TPF is a projects-based party.
Yes.
We know that projects demand capital,
yes,
resources to start. So how are you going to fund all your projects?
The biggest resource that a party can need or can have are the human resources.
Wait there.
Yes.
Human resources. You
Yes.
are talking about membership.
Yes.
So if you could tell us how you're going to fund and your membership as well.
Yes, the first that we're going to do is, or which we're already doing, is to get our donations from our members, both in the country and outside. But those abasekhaya sathi thina, we know ukuthi impilo inzima, lathi sabaleka khona sibalekele ukuthi impilo inzima. Those who are not employed, because close to 90% of Zimbabweans are not employed, sathi thina, we even give you a waiver in terms of a membership fee, ama contributions lawa ya. But labo abaphandle kwelizwe, ama structures which are outside the country are meant to raise ama resources for the party. They'll be donating to the party. So this is how we raise, and some of them are business people. Then thina sisebenzayo lathi sabe kukhona okuncane khona kwesikukhiphayo. But now asikukhipheli ukuthi sichaye ama rallies kumbe si organize ama demonstrations. Sibhadala abafana ukuthi baphuze utshwala bajikijele imoto zabantu. Thina we raise that money towards projects. Then these projects are going to fund the party. Yes. So we're going to register our companies. We have already registered one, which will generate income for the party and give a certain percentage to the party. They will be employing our members a party, and our members footy more projects on service, because some of them are about teaching our membership on sustainable, on self-sustainability. So we'll be teaching them for free, startup capital to go out there and do things on their own. Akekho umuntu ozapreacha igama le-TPF njengomuntu osedriver imoto ngemfundiso ayiphiwe yi-TPF kumbe ngecapital ayiphiwe yi-TPF. Ukwenzela ukuthi lanxa kusasa abantu thina sithi Nxa abantu sebesuthi sebelento zonke bekhona ukuthi bazilimele bazithengele ichukela bazifundisele abantwana babo esikolo kuzoba nzima ukuthi ubuye uphethe inkomishi elesithombe sikaNkala usithi ngivotela nginguNkala ngoba ngikuphe lokho. So we try and use that to eradicate e-vote buying.
Yes. No, kuyezwakala kakhulu. Iningi i-Congress ye-TPF.
I-Congress ye-TPF okwamanje angeke ngatsho because i-Congress ye-TPF is dependent on the structures that are there. If ama-structures angavuka ethe kusasa kayibe khona, and then we see ukuthi, of course, because now sesilama provinces athile, then we look at it and say, okay, can we go to Congress? Is this fully representative of what we stand for or what we want to see in the collective decision making of the party? Then if it's okay, we can go there. Party besicelile ebantwini kuma structures ukuthi those provincial leaders that are there must build ama lower structures. Then bangaqeda ukwenza ama lower structures, because right now we have been building from the top to the bottom, because qale i-executive is set up ama provincial structures.
This is Multiracial Broadcasting Corporation. Inspired to inspire.
Provincial structures, then we leave a provincial structure because of its devolution of power that we have. A provincial structure is responsible for erecting our district structures. Each district is responsible for overseeing creation of branches. Then a branch is responsible for overseeing the creation of cells. Then a branch will oversee or elect cell executives. Then branches are elected district executive. District executives is elected a province. Then a province is elected a national executive or Congress.
In terms of AMA structures,
yes.
Do you have structures like in countries like Botswana, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and elsewhere?
As Zimbabwe, we also have AMA structures in Ireland. We have structures in the UK. We also have structures in South Africa. In Zambia, we have an interim structure which is there, but abaluchwana bangu 15. So we are still trying to spread all over the world.
The Patriotic Front.
Yes.
Igama lavela kanjani?
Igama lavela ekuthini, like I said, ukuthi thina were rooted on the tenets of on the ideas that took our founding fathers to war. The main agreement was that they would go to our elections by Patriotic Front. And sicabanga thina ukuthi nga bebengene benjalo, some of the things that happened from 1980 up to now would not have happened. You talk about things like Kukurawundi, you talk about things like corruption, you talk about things like tribalism and the destruction of the economy, things like entitlement. So Sasesiti Tina, let's get back to the basics. These people wanted to create a multiracial society. Can we tick that box now? City in Zimbabwe Ifuna said yes. These people wanted an equitable sharing of national resources. Can we tick that box? Said yes. So we ticked all the boxes that took us to the liberation struggle, including the fact that it's not only those who took to war, but Twala Izipam, Waekangeni, who fought the war of liberation in Zimbabwe. Even umuntu obeselekaya efita abantu abahambe empini was fighting that war because they bore the brunt of Rhodesian forces. So we are saying that these people also fought the war. By virtue of being born in Zimbabwe, where blood was shed, where sweat and toil was lost during the liberation struggle, when we step onto that soil, fought the liberation struggle. So we are saying ukuthi nobody should feel entitled and nobody should feel second class ngoba yena kayanga empini ngoba wayengakazalwa kumbe kayanga empini ngoba ube nguteacher kumbe ube isakhamuzi egcina inkomo zalabo abahamba empini. So we are saying ukuthi this is where we are building, this is the rock upon which we are building this party. We are taking our struggle back to the basics. So siqala katsha is the restart button from where we should have been in 1980.
Okay, I know. You have mentioned about servant leadership and meritocracy,
Yes.
and TPF as an empowerment tool.
When we talk about an empowerment tool, we are not empowering leaders. We are empowering individuals and communities. Ukuthi nxa sithi siya empower sithi ukuthi unkala namhlanje usengupresident we-TPF. We don't empower you. But when you lead ama empowerment programs that the party needs to do ebantwini. So we empower abantu. Or maybe let me expand it to say, Tina, in terms of empowerment, we have set ETPF to say we've got a three-tier system of saying, or a hierarchy, a three-tier hierarchy system. Yoguti, first and foremost is the economic empowerment. Tina, number 2 is social interaction. Then number 3 is politics. So we say abantu okuqala badingana, they care about bread and butter issues. That's why abaye bacross umfula beze South Africa. So let's make sure ukuthi abantu laba they get isinkwa sokudla labantwana babo. They get satisfied in terms of ukudla, ukubhadala izikolo and everything else. So we empower them how? By running projects that benefit them. And Masi says ama projects, citizens ama projects. You don't have to be a TPF member to benefit from those projects, but you have to be a TPF member to drive those projects because there is a way of us controlling certain things like we want accountability. So you're going to account to us on how these projects were done, on how the money was used, on who benefited and how they benefited. Then nxa abantu labana sebesuthi sebethenga izicathulo zabo sebe-afforda yonke into sebelesikhathi sokuthi bahlale phansi baxoxa social interaction. Senxa sebehleli bexoxa lapha, they will talk about culture, they will talk among other things about politics. How then do we make sure ukuthi we have control on ukuthi umhlaba lana othile kawuqunywe wenziwe a project? You need to have political power. Then they now come to politics. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, meritocracy was saying ukuthi nangu unkala lapha is a member of the party. Unkala simbona unkala uphiwe lapha kumobilizing abantu, uyabulala unkala. So can't we put unkala against abanye abantu laba abaphiwe njengaye in an internal conference or in a congress? Sithi nkala sibone ngani lapho na ziyakhupha ungasisiza kakhulu. Then uyabe ngasonkala yedwa. Then people voting based on your capabilities will vote you. But now even further, because you are what politics, people can vote ngokuthanda umuntu. But meritocracy applies kakhulu kuma deployments. Ukuthi umxolisi is a very good speaker. Umxolisi knows the communications. Umxolisi went to school for this thing. You want to deploy umuntu as a political, as our spokesperson. Can't umxolisi fit in there? Then you then deploy that person based on their qualification and their abilities. Sithi thina sesiku government, uDA uyabe ngakhetha ukuthi ngumngane kaZibani, but because merits this portfolio, because i-portfolio ite kufuneka umuntu ole degree ole experience ethile ovela kule indawo, then based on that merit we deploy you. So i-merit kakhulu isebenza kakhulu kuma deployments where we appoint people where we employ people to get rid of these divisions. Because you are white, you cannot be police commission. Yet you are capable of being police commission. Because you are Ndebele, you cannot be an army general because you have a disdain. Yet you deserve to be there because you've got the necessary experience, you've got the necessary qualification, you've got the necessary vision.
Yeah, you have explained it very well, very, very well. Yes. But I'm trying to extrapolate that principle of meritocracy to the whole country, taking into account the conditions that have been brought about by the government of ZANU PF, which has made the relationships so skewed. As you know, right now, people feel that other ethnic groups are not really benefiting from the liberation of the country. Yes. Therefore, you as TPF, with your policy of a meritocracy or approach, are you going to initiate any affirmative programs or equalization programs?
People badlepana kangaka because of indlala ekhona principally. That's number one. Unga empower abantu be South, develop in South, develop le National and West. Because abantu bangikhuluma ngaloko ngenxa ukuthi abantu bakhala kakhulu ukuthi sibona abantu abangasibo balapha bebuya lapha bezothatha ama resources wethu kumbe bezothatha imisebenzi yettu. Unga empower abantu be South, empower labe National and West. It will mean ukuthi akula muntu osuka lapho ku developed khona siya lapho ku underdeveloped unless ihamba le opportunity there. So it will mean ukuthi umuntu wase South will be content in living in South. Umuntu wase National and West will be content in living in National and West because both these areas are developed unless there is a skills exchange or we engineer in South sesidinga engineer samswela. So kuzayenza ukuthi abantu base South labase National and West kube nzima ukuthi bahlangane especially nxa bebanga ukudla. Ngabe umuntu wonke uyasutha. Ngaba kula muntu lo munye South Africa right now kule operation Tutula. It's because these people are hungry. You will never find open Heimer esilwa lo crash kabe banga ukuthi when you come from Poland you are here, you're taking away opportunities. It's because these guys bayasuta. So abantu bangasuta they will hardly ever fight. So Tina was saying we want to economically empower these people so that they forget ukulwa beliswaniswa yindlala. Because kuba nzima nkala to unite abantu abalambileyo. Because to them, unity is secondary to finding food. They will fight. Ungafika athi sihlale thina sibe babili endlini. Sithenga igwinya. Singathenga lelani igwinya silambile sonke. Wena uthola igwinya lakho ngilidlile. The next thing uyakususilwa lami. Why usidla igwinya lami? But ungathenga inyama yenkomo yonke. Sungafuna ngiyidle because inkomo lani singazibole ingadliwa. So people kumele babe empowered economically first. Then we talk in terms of economic empowerment for people to have it. Then when they have it, they have spare time, leisure time, where they will socially interact. After as they socially interact, then they will discuss politics among other issues. So ukuze abantu bethu babe united, kumele babe empowered ezindaweni zabo. Then bangaba empowered ezindaweni zabo. Bazaba lesikhathi esilutshwana to even ask ukuthi kanti wena sungweMalawi wa useZimbabwe. Uyabona? Because umuntu weMalawi bazaba kwazi ukuthi la umuntu lo uzoshare. But foremost kumele ukuthi sifundisane futhi labantu ukuthi hayi into elixabanisayo siku ukuthi omunye umuntu lishona kumbe lindebele. Yindlala. Yikho lani lilodwa lingamandebele ligcina litshontshelana izimbuzi. Ligcine ligamulana. Omunye esetshontshe emasimini omunye. It's because of indlala. Then that way we will address the first immediate need of indlala. Then ukhuluma ukuthi ZANU has poisoned this chalice already, which is very true. But I said ukuthi as TPF, we are not here to conform to what is there. We are here to reform what is there. Hence, instead of lamenting, because nxa lokho likhipha ama statements ethi ubani bani usefile udrive isikhathi eside uta esibhedlela omunye uzagcina discover ukuthi udrive wakhona was even ishona kuthi uthi ishona leli liyenze ngabomu ukuthi umuntu angafiki ngesikhathi azafe vele this is the grand plan uyabona but singathi thina we address these issues ngokwenzani ngokulungisa instead of ukukhuluma ngazo. Then people abalindi ukuthi kukhulunywe ukuthi yeshona guy usedubule umuntu lapho besacatshangela ukuthi untshontshile engayisuye watholakala ukuthi umuntu odutshileyo wazindebele. But sahamba sa address these things to make sure ukuthi okokuqala that devolution of power that we spoke to, which respect the ethno-linguistic setup of the country, is respected. Officer in charge waseMangu kwaba ngumuntu ongumkalanga wasePlantry. Even esedubule omunye umuntu khona lapha wakhona lapha, i-tribal fight will be limited. You understand? So this is how we want to unite people, by doing that which we preach.
Okay. Before we conclude,
yes,
unpack this one for me.
Yes.
Non-racial, non-tribal, proudly Zimbabwe.
Yes.
This is your slogan.
Yes. This slogan, many people don't understand it. They believe ukuthi thina sithi Zimbabwe is non-racial or whatever. We are saying ukuthi this speaks to the vision what we have. We seek to create a Zimbabwe which is non-racial, of people who are non-racial, non-tribal, but proudly Zimbabwe, where race and tribe play second fiddle to nationality, where people will be judged on what they can do for the country, or what they've been doing for the country, or how they behave, or on how dedicated they are to serving Zimbabwe than where they were born, what language they speak, or how they look. So this is the Zimbabwe that we seek to create. But how do we create that Zimbabwe? We create it by beginning to live it now within the party.
Okay, so this is a vision for tomorrow.
Yes. Yes,
it's not about us being proud about Zimbabwe as it is right now.
As we are right now, I would honestly say Uguti, there are very few who can stand up and say, I'm proud of being Zimbabwe. Because mostly of the leadership that we have, which has taken away that sense of patriotism. And community patriotism, vele, abantu abaningi abasafuni associate because it has been bastardized to mean support for a certain party. So Tina, the reason why again we took it slightly domesticated is because Tina sibizani ngama comrades with TPF, sibizana patriots. Because we want to redefine that term to take it back to this original meaning. No. Patriotism doesn't mean blind following for the government of the day. Patriotism can mean even standing up in defense of your country against the government. Yes.
Yeah. In conclusion,
yes,
some of your literature said no tribe should be a subset of another tribe.
Yes.
No language should be a dialect of another.
Yes.
So does it mean that in Zimbabwe, this kind of scenario is happening?
It is, and I will give you an example. I'll give you an example of two parties because these parties have been there and they're in power right now.
Yeah.
By the fact of having a name which has a click sound, can forget about joining ZANU or the MDC or Triple C and become the president, even if Umxolisi is capable of that. Heath Strick can forget of assuming that Umxolisi can be better because vice president, but as a ceremonial vice president, surviving on the grace of those who are said to belong to the majority tribe. And that is basically because we've created Zimbabwe, divided Zimbabwe into a tribal dichotomy of Shona and Ndebele, We have created a racial dichotomy of black and whites. Sesicancele yonke into esesenta la. And nxa sisithi shona, sesikhuluma amakaranga sesiwafaka khonapho, amazezuru sekhonapho, amandawo sekhonapho, of which umuntu obuye emtare angacomplain ethi thina being marginalized. Etshela mina umuntu waseMart North, ngiyamthethe uyahlanya namashona yineliphethe yini selibulele ilizwe. And sesinanzelele ukuthi futhi abantu basemathebeleland labenza xabana khona labafowethu who are calling for secession. Bathi bona umbirwa ulindebele. Umtonga ulindebele. Without consulting these people to ask, do you identify as Ndebele? Because isitonga sesibonakala njenge subset of isiNdebele, or isitonga sesibonakala njenge dialect yesiNdebele. Isikaranga sesibonakala njenge dialect yesishona, of which isishona sabe sikhuluma ngesiZulu. So we want to say, nxa ungumkaranga, there are 16 official languages as Zimbabwe. Those official languages none of them can be considered a dialect of another. They stand alone as languages. Kula Masili, who are called the Khoisan ngesilungu. They are a people on their own. They have their own culture which they don't share with anybody else. They should not at some point be seen or be forced to say bayede enkosini yamaNdebele. They must have their own king. Amatonga must have their own king. Let's respect their culture. They must commemorate izinto ababezenza kudala. Nxa thina amaNdebele sithi thina si celebrate inxwala, labo balokwabo abakade bekwenza before iZimbabwe was created. Esingakwaziyo thina because we have decided ukuthi kumele bona bow down to us, ba subscribe to what thina we subscribe in. Bathi uMzilikazi yinkosi yabo. Engazange abe inkosi yabo or ebe inkosi yabo because of certain ways that we met. Amalungu kumele labo iculture yabo si respect regardless of whether at some point they colonize us. Let us not move forward carrying the backpack of history. Let us go forward knowing our history, subscribing to the things that define us historically, but not holding the grudges that divided us, historically. This is what was said.
All right. Kungenzakala ukuthi unombuzo kade ufisa ukuthi ngikubuze wona kodwa engingakubuzanga wona.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is your time ukuthi uphendule lo mbuzo.
Umbuzo okhona ngathi umbuzo esesubuzwe ngabantu abaningi ukuthi lina likhanya lizonda iopposition, lisola wonke umuntu, lifuna ukuthi izanu iqhubeke yini ibambile. Impendulo yethu ithi thina masikhuluma ngeZANU, we are not talking about a political party. There's a certain system which we have defined as iZANUism. Whether iZANU Usasa falls or changes name, like mutated to another name and new colors, that system is what we will continue fighting. And our system eqale manje, you will talk about a system eyayikona ngesikhathi secolonialism, a system of centralization. Centralization is one of the reasons why Zimbabweans have been so divided, because centralization seeks to put somebody at the top, abambe the whole country, because abelungu bebebalutshwana, abemuthola ukuthi bangu-15, they are supposed to hold fort on behalf of the Queen of England as Zimbabwe. So to be able to control that large population of a people, they had to centralize things endaweni ethile. So thina after independence, instead of devolving this power, safika sayibamba ikhona laphaya, you will find ukuthi we complain ukuthi ama-teacher, ama-colleges asemathebeleland athatha abantu from Mashonaland bezotrainwa lapha abethu kabasatholi lutho. It's because of the proximity those people have to the staffing office abehlele eHarare, onguyokhipha ama-dates ukuthi eGwanda ngosuku oluthile hold ama-interviews for ama-student teachers, and uvele yena because people around that proximity know ukuthi yena nguye ohambisa ophethe isandla lapha, bazamlanda bethi ndoda ngilabantu abangu 300 la bafunani umsebenzi wokuteacher akubatholele phela. Then they pay this guy 6,000 per head. This guy yena uphethe ipower yokufaka abantu yamini yelokuzini yeGwanda ngalo ukuthi ngoyokhipha ama dates. Staffing officer can even fire these people abayenza ama interviews lapana, or even the principal. This person abesethatha imali yaleyo yabulo muntu abesesithi kulabo bantu abaphethe abayiba abaqhatsha eGwanda abaqhatsha ama student teachers, I'll give you per head 2,000. Athathe 1,000 ayiphe lo muntu omlethele laba bantu abesesidli 3,000. Laba bantu sebebhalelwa izincwadi because bangafika ngale bengangeni ichayise bazakhuluma phela ukuthi no thina sibhadele. So they must be employed, these people. Sebehamba bethola incwadi behamba ngebhasi esuke eHarare. Mina ngisezinte college ngihleli laphayana ngilinda ukungena ngilindi interview ngibona iHarare nampa abantu bayehla ngamabhasi bathwele izincwadi balanda umuntu othile. All of a sudden laba bantu sebeqhatshiwe bekhuluma certain language because they come from a certain province. Different provinces, of course. Omnye bevele eMtari, omnye eMasingo, omnye eMidlands, ekhuluma isiTshona. Sensithi mina hayi bavele baletha amashona. Kanti no, this is corruption which is brought about by the centralized system. So if we devolve that power, we will then be able to say ukuthi lapha umuntu weGwanda uzoqhatsha umuntu weGwanda. So that system is manifest even in the MDC, which is now CCC. And eyokuthi umuntu uyasuka eMidlands abuye koBulawayo, because abantu bakoBulawayo don't vote an ideology, they vote a party in cultist lines. Bayazi ukuthi lo muntu angahamba ngale vele bazamvotela. Then you outsource leaders bebuye koBulawayo bafike bengene koBulawayo abe ngumeya koBulawayo engasebenzeli uBulawayo. So we are saying ukuthi thina asifuni iZANU iqhubeke ikupower, but we are saying anything that perpetuates the ZANU PF system must be treated as ZANU and must be hated like ZANU, must be defeated like ZANU. So sithi thina, as long as the so-called main opposition ilandela lokho kwenziwa yiZANU, there are two sides of the same coin. Let's throw away the coin. Ungaze uyiphose ubheke uhead lo tail umlahlile. Let's throw away the whole coin. This is what we're saying. Asifuni ZANU iqhubeke, but asifuni ZANUism iqhubeke.
Hayi kuyezwakala. So i-CCC iZANU encane.
iZANU enkulu not encane ziyalingana. Aswaye zisilwa ngendlela efanayo, omunye azathi mina ngidliwa nganqiliwe. It's because zindala zombili. But nxa zisilwa zigxobana kwampana azigxobaneli ukuthi zisiseve.
Yeah.
Zigxobanela ukuthi lazo futhi ziphinde zisisuppress. So as long as there is a party believer ukuthi umuntu because of race or tribe cannot be this, or it should be limited from becoming a certain thing, yet Zimbabwean, we should fight that with equal venom. Yes.
Hayi kuyezwakala kakhulu baba Ncube, siyathemba ukuthi masikunxusa futhi ngokuzayo ngoba kuningi kakhulu ebesingathanda ukuthi sikuxoxe nawe.
This is Multiracial Broadcasting Corporation. Inspired, inspired.